Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Irina and today I'm shooting in a pretty unusual place at the train station. We are traveling to one of the most beautiful cities in the world, St. Petersburg. We are on vacation and I decided to show you our trip. We checked into the apartment and now it's time for a little walk and to find something to eat. We are walking past one of the main landmarks of St. Petersburg, the Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood. The church got its unusual name because it was built on the exact spot where Emperor Alexander II was fatally wounded in 1881. The church was designed in a traditional Russian style, with colorful domes and stunning mosaics inside and out. During World War II, in the time of the siege of Leningrad, the church was used as a morgue. There were so many people dying, and there was simply no other place to keep the bodies. It's hard to imagine that now, looking at how peaceful and beautiful it is today. Mission complete and we continue our walk. Just look at this beauty. We are now at Kazan Cathedral, one of the most iconic places in St. Petersburg. It was built between 1801 and 1811 in the Russian neoclassical style. The design was partly inspired by St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, especially the huge colonnade and the central dome. Originally, it was meant to be the main church of the Russian Empire. After the victory over Napoleon, it became a national symbol, and it holds the tomb of General Kutuzov. Over the years, the building was used for many different things: charity organizations, a public canteen, schools, cheap apartments, and even a museum of the history of religion and atheism during Soviet times. Today it's once again an active church and still one of the city's most important landmarks. We wanted to grab a coffee and some eclairs at the famous Yeliseiv Emporium, but we got there a bit too late. So no desserts this time, but at least we enjoyed the gorgeous interior. This place is like a little museum of old St. Petersburg. When you're walking through the city center, it's impossible to miss another incredibly beautiful cathedral, St. Isaac's. It's one of the biggest and most impressive churches in the city. It was built in the 19th century in the Russian neoclassical style, with a huge golden dome covered in almost 100 kilograms of real gold. The cathedral is famous for its massive granite columns and richly decorated interior. During World War II, it was seriously damaged by bombings. And even today, you can still see marks from that time on the walls. In Soviet times, it became a museum, and it still works as one today, though church services are sometimes held here. You can visit the cathedral with a guided tour and also climb 262 steps to the colonnade. There's no elevator, but the view is totally worth it. The river, Nevsky Prospect, and the city all around you. So this is the next day and we are starting it with some breakfast, then heading out to explore more of the city. St. Petersburg can be a tricky city. Bakeries are waiting for you on every corner, and they just pull you inside. You don't have a chance to stay slim. Today it's very hot outside, so we decided to grab some breakfast and go shopping. We were supposed to buy a new watch for my husband, but as usual we ended up getting something for me instead. While we were shopping, the heat finally calmed down a bit, so we came for a walk in one of the most beautiful and famous parks in the city, the Summer Garden. The Summer Garden is one of the oldest parks in St. Petersburg, founded by Peter the Great in the early 1700s. It was designed by the French architect Jean-Baptiste Leblond in the style of formal European gardens, with perfect symmetry, fountains, and classical sculptures. Back in the days, it was the most fashionable place to walk, meet, and be seen. Now it's a peaceful green space right in the city center, with tree-lined paths, beautiful landscaping, and lots of benches to relax on. Right across from the Summer Garden, there is another beautiful park, the Field of Mars. It got its name in the 1800s, after Mars, the Roman god of war, when the area started being used for military parades and ceremonies. Before that, it was just a swampy field. Later, it became a place of memory. A monument to the victims of the 1917 revolution was built here. And in 1957, Russia's first eternal flame was lit at its center. Today, it's a peaceful open space surrounded by elegant buildings. We stopped by a bar because my husband was in the mood for a beer. So he got his drink and I got my salad. Fair deal. Now it was my turn to enjoy something I love. We came to Sever, one of the most iconic pastry shops in St. Petersburg. It opened back in 1903 and quickly became famous for its cakes, eclairs, and signature Sever pastries. By the way, Sever means north in Russian. During World War II in 1941, the cafe had to close, but it reopened in 1946. That's when some of its most legendary desserts were created, like the Nord, the moon cake, and the Sever pastry. Today, it still feels like a little time capsule, with velvet chairs, glass counters, and the smell of fresh pastries in the air. And in the evening, we decided to come back to the Field of Mars to enjoy the calm atmosphere one more time. It's the perfect place to slow down and end the day. Is a fan of trains, different models from different eras, so that's why we are at the Museum of Trains. The Russian Railway Museum in St. Petersburg opened in 1978 and moved to its modern space in 2017. It has over 3,500 exhibits, including 118 historic locomotives and carriages. From the first steam engines to today's high-speed trains, there are full-size trains, models, interactive displays, and even a giant replica of the classic faceted glass. You get tea in on Russian trains. It's like stepping into the entire history of rail travel in one place. After the museum, we decided to keep the train theme going, and we went for a snack at a food mall inside the former Warsaw railway station in St. Petersburg. It's one of the largest in Russia and Europe, offering food from all over the world. The interior is styled after 19th century imperial trains, with cast iron columns, vintage benches, and compartment-like tables. A nice place to grab a bite with a bit of railway history around you. After the food mall, we decided to enjoy the city itself. And one of the best things to do in St. Petersburg in summer is simply walking around. In summer, it's especially beautiful. If you're lucky with the weather, of course, you can wander these pretty streets all night long, and the nightlife feels endless. The city just never sleeps. Hi guys, today is the next day and we are going to an interesting place. It's a church, but a really unusual church. St. Anna's Church, or Annenkirche, is a hidden gem in St. Petersburg. Annenkirche is not a typical church. Built in the late 1700s for St. Petersburg Lutheran community, it has seen more transformations than most buildings in the city. In Soviet times, it was turned into a cinema, then a lively rock nightclub in 1990s. And then, in 2002, it was almost destroyed by fire. You can still see the blackened walls as a reminder. After a decade of restoration, Annenkirche has risen from the ashes, now a stunning blend of history and modern culture. Today it hosts concerts, exhibitions, and even Sunday services, proving that some stories only get richer with time. In September 2025, the church will finally close its doors for a long-awaited full restoration. St. Petersburg is often called the Northern Venice, and it's easy to see why. In summer, one of the best ways to experience the city is by taking a boat ride along its rivers and canals. From the water, you get a completely different perspective. Elegant embankments, grand buildings, and golden domes gliding past as you go. A scene straight out of a painting. After our boat ride, we were ready for a good meal. So we stopped at a cozy restaurant to recharge. After dinner, we headed for a walk down one of St. Petersburg's most vibrant and trendy streets, Rubinstein Street. Over the years, it's been home to artists, writers, actors, and composers, including the famous Anton Rubinstein himself. Today, it's buzzing with life, packed with stylish restaurants and the city's coolest crowd. Today is the next day and we're exploring Petrogradsky area, another beautiful part of the city right across the Neva river. One of the highlights of Petrogradsky Island is the Peter and Paul Fortress, the very birthplace of St. Petersburg, founded back in 1703. It's the city's oldest architectural monument and part of the UNESCO World Heritage List. Surprisingly, it was never used in battle, but for almost 2 centuries it served as a prison. Today it's a museum. We of course visited the Peter and Paul Cathedral, the burial place of Peter the Great and many Russian czars. Its golden spire with the angel on top is one of the city's most famous symbols. But the most striking part was the old prison. Dark cells, frosted windows, and stories of its famous prisoners, from Tsarevich Alexei to Dostoevsky, make this place truly haunting. The fortress is full of history and definitely worth a visit. And you can admire it not only while walking inside, but even from above, with a helicopter ride over the city. After that, we headed to the St. Petersburg Botanical Garden, one of the oldest in Russia, originally founded by Peter the Great as a medical plant garden. The garden itself is just a lovely green spot in the middle of the city, perfect for a peaceful stroll. And look who we met, the director of the garden, taking a well-deserved break after a long day. The highlight is the greenhouse, a little tropical world with palms and exotic plants from all over the world. It's a calm, relaxed place, ideal to escape the crowds and enjoy some greenery in the heart of the city. Entry costs about 700 rubles, roughly $9. We returned to the city center for one of St. Petersburg's most iconic spectacles, the nightly bridge raising. From April to November, the Neva's bridges lift for ships. And over time, this practical event has turned into a must-see show for tourists. It's free, but it's important to grab a spot along the embankment. The highlight is the Palace Bridge, which opens at 1:10 a.m., with city lights reflecting on the water. Truly magical. Today we went back to the Petrogradskaya side. One day here just isn't enough. We joined a tour of St. Petersburg's Paradnaya, the hidden stairwells of old houses. They are like secret treasures of the city, usually unseen by tourists. Inside, you find everything from simple designs to ornate details, historic tiles and painted ceilings. And sometimes you even get a bonus performance from locals who aren't too happy about unexpected visitors. We also stopped by the emir's house. It was built in 1913 for the emir of Bukhara's son, but he never actually lived here. The building is super unusual for St. Petersburg, with Moorish arches and a kind of Eastern vibe. Definitely not your typical Petersburg architecture. After the tour, we kept exploring Petrogradka. This neighborhood is packed with interesting spots. Our first stop was the legendary cruiser Aurora, the ship that fired the blank shot making the start of the 1917 revolution. Today it's a museum, permanently anchored on the embankment. Standing right next to it feels like touching a piece of history. Then we checked out Peter the Great's little wooden cabin, where he lived while the city was being built. It's tiny and super simple, but so cool to imagine what life was like back then. And today it's protected by a stone pavilion built around it. A short walk away is the St. Petersburg Mosque. built in 1921 with bright blue domes and intricate Persian-style patterns. It used to be the largest mosque in Europe outside of Turkey. Even now, it's seriously stunning. And of course, we wrapped it up just wandering through the quiet parks and cozy streets of Petrogradka, the perfect way to soak in the vibe of this historic neighborhood. St. Petersburg is a city built on 33 islands. So after exploring Petrogradka, we crossed over to Vasilievsky Island. Back in Peter the Great's time, this island was meant to become the city center, which is why you will see those straight streets laid out like a grid. Today, it has a completely different vibe. Quieter streets, a mix of historic buildings and cozy cafes, and that special island charm. After a little stroll, we stopped for dinner at one of the city's most popular food halls, the Vasily Ostrovsky Market. Tonight we went for Asian food, and dinner for two of us came to about 2,500 rubles, roughly $20. After dinner, we wandered a bit more around the island, just soaking in its vibe and enjoying the evening atmosphere. Today we start our day in a very beautiful place. We are heading to Tsarskoye Selo. After a short ride, we reached Tsarskoye Selo. First stop, the Catherine Palace, an 18th century Baroque masterpiece designed by Bartolomeo Rastrelli. Its bright blue, white and gold facade looks straight out of a painting. No wonder it's part of UNESCO World Heritage Site. Inside, we wandered through the golden enfilade, room after room of mirrors, parquet floors and chandeliers. Until we reached the highlight, the Amber Room. The original amber panels, gifted to Peter the Great by Prussia, were lost during World War II. What you see now is a meticulous reconstruction completed in 2003, and it's absolutely breathtaking. After exploring the Baroque side, we walked around to see the section that Catherine the Great designed in her favorite classical style. She also commissioned the elegant Cameron Gallery in the 1780s, where she loved to stroll and entertain. The park is just as impressive. It's divided into two parts: a French garden with perfect geometric lines and fountains, and an English landscape garden, designed to look as natural and wild as possible, the kind of place where you can wander for hours and just take in the beauty. The palace and parks were heavily damaged in World War II and later restored. That's why everything looks so fresh today. After coming back from Tsarskoye Selo, we were starving. That tour took up half the day. So we headed to one of St. Petersburg's most legendary snack spots, the famous Pishka Cafe, serving donuts since 1958. They say the recipe hasn't changed since Soviet times. The donuts are warm, sugary, and delicious. Definitely worth trying once, but be ready for a line. And here we met the biggest donut lover in town. Then, with our sugar levels restored, we hopped on an old Soviet bus for a ride through the city center. It's a bit noisy and bumpy, but that's part of the fun. Our main stop was Smolny Cathedral, an 18th century Baroque gem by Rastrelli. It started as a convent, and today is part of museum complex, sometimes even hosting concerts. And if you're ready for a workout, for about 300 rubles, around $4, you can climb 278 steps to the top of the bell tower for amazing city views. Unfortunately, we got there a bit late, so the viewing platform was already closed. The area around the cathedral is quiet and open, a nice place to take a break and look around. And I couldn't help but notice these two little angel faces on the facade with big surprised eyes. No idea what they're looking at, but they are adorable.
I think now it's time to tell you about the pricing. We are living in this beautiful historic building right in the city center.
This is an 18th century building, so of course there's no elevator. That means climbing all the way up to the 4th floor on foot. We rented this cozy apartment right in the heart of the city. The living area is combined with a small kitchen, though honestly, if it wasn't there, I wouldn't have noticed, since I never cooked during the trip. In St. Petersburg, it's just way easier to eat out than to cook at home. There's also a dining area combined with the bedroom and, of course, a bathroom. The cost of this cozy 44 square meter apartment is about 8,300 rubles per night, roughly $103. So for 8 days we paid around $825 to stay right in the heart of St. Petersburg. What do you think? Good value for the price or not? Let me know in the comments. Today is our last day in St. Petersburg and I feel a bit sad to leave. This city just steals your heart instantly. You fall in love right away and it sticks with you. For breakfast today, we went to this cozy American-style cafe with really tasty pancakes. It's a total calorie overload, but so yummy. After that, we just wandered around the city enjoying the sights. And I hope all that walking will help to burn off our pancake indulgence.
I have a confession to make. I am a fan of Hermitage. I traveled to St. Petersburg maybe a couple of years ago and I explored this beautiful museum with a professional tour guide and I really loved this experience. So I'm going to visit St. Petersburg maybe in November and to visit this museum again with a professional tour guide. So subscribe to my channel in order not to skip this video. This time, unfortunately, I'm not going to get inside because it's summertime. If you live in Norway or in Sweden, you understand what I mean. Because summertime is the time for walking.
And one of my favorite ways to do that here is by taking a boat ride on the Neva river. It's amazing to see the city from the water and admire all the beautiful buildings and bridges from a fresh perspective.